Hello, fellow geeks. Today we are interviewing Dave, who is owner and proprietor of Arcadia National Bar here in downtown Portland. And what Arcadia is, it's a video game themed bar. You could listen to me talk about it, but I think it's better if we listen to the man who actually owns it.
Sure.
So thanks for joining us, Dave.
Of course. Coming to you live from the Arcadia basement.
So how did you come up with the gaming or a geek themed bar? I mean, how did that come to you?
Well, I feel like there wasn't really a place for, geek culture to kind of meet up during the nighttime scene. I mean, kind of where this was birthed was my buddy Ben and I. We used to play pinball at Coast City Comics in town, and we spent a lot of time there. That's where we met, and we started playing Pinball League on Sunday nights there, and it would be, we'll go play pinball for 2 hours. Actually, here's the real schedule. We would go to Downtown Lounge, we would drink for an hour and a half, then we would go play pinball for 2 or 3 hours, then we would go to Gino's and drink, and then we would go to Boda and have dinner. And so it was kind of this culture of people who liked gaming and aspects, whether it be board games, pinball, video games, and then we'd, go get beers. And it was like, man, it would make a lot of sense if we just married those two together. Like, if I could go someplace and have a couple of, really good Maine beers and play games all night. So
save on your commute.
Exactly. I only have to go to one place. And so that's kind of where we started, and we built from there. We had a Kickstarter that raised us $25,000. So
that's where you got your funding from.
Yes, and that was kind of the does Portland want this? Would we be a successful business? And I think that showed us that raising that amount of money in 30 days was like, oh yeah, people want to do this. So
well, that's a short amount of time.
It is. It's a very short amount of time. And, we had some people who, there were some smaller goals that was like, for $25 you get a pint glass. But the largest one, which somebody actually gave at that level, was $5,000 for free games for life. So they don't pay for pinball, they don't pay for video games. They come in, and I say they've probably saved like $1,500 already in pinball. So
that's how we do it. It's like $5,000 now. Free pinball for life.
Yes. So, the fact that we are a business that has been here for a year and a half already, that is, not just surviving, but I think really thriving in the area, speaks very well of, their investment. And I attribute that to the community of people who come here. We have, for a nightlife spot, it is a very, there's a big sense of community, and that people who come are very respectful of each other, which I think is a large part of geek culture, although if you're playing League of Legends, that does not apply. Everybody's horrible, and it's a horrible community. But from going to not having a spot that represents your community and culture to having a place like this, I think they realize that they want to protect it. And, sure, we all get a little too drunk every once in a while, but for the most part, there's no... I'll tell you, one of the greatest compliments I get is when a woman comes into the bar and she gets to know who I am, being the owner of the bar, and she comes up and she says, you know what, I feel really safe here. I don't feel like I'm getting hounded on by men all the time. And I think that's a part of just, people being very respectful, and also nerds being afraid of women. Good job, guys.
Yeah, well, that's what we'll call it.
Yes.
Well, it is, and that's one of the things that with what we do that we've discovered is geeks are actually a very supportive community. We look out for each other and whatnot, and it seems like you see that on a regular basis here in Arcadia.
Definitely. Aside from just having a Facebook account that is the business, we also have a secondary Facebook group that's called Arcadia Looking for Group, and it'll just be like, hey, it's Tuesday tomorrow. I really want to play, Settlers. I want to play Dominion. I need 4 more players. Does anybody want to come hang out? And so it's a great way to meet new people without having to go, from the face-to-face meeting. You're going to meet them face-to-face, but there's always that little bit of social anxiety that, even I go through as somebody who has to be at the bar every night, where I'm sometimes afraid to talk to people, but if I know that I'm going to play a game with them, then a totally different me comes out. And it's like, do you see, you've never seen this game? Let me tell you about it. It's really cool. This is what we do, and, it's about 45 minutes. Do you want to play with us? And I think games are a great way to break the ice, too.
Yeah.
There are a number of people who started dating because they played a game together at the bar, which is always a funny story to hear. And it's kind of that icebreaker. That's I didn't know you. We played Dominion for a half an hour, and now every time you're at the bar, I'm gonna be like, hey, it's good to see you again. Like, let's play something else.
So you guys have more than just the arcade games.
Yes. We wanted to try to represent every level of geekdom, and I think an inspiration for that was going to PAX East for the first time a couple years ago.
Yeah.
All the PAX conventions that I've been to have been really great, and it kind of speaks to that level of community. But board games, video games, pinball. So for the video game aspect, we work with Maine Competitive Gaming to do a lot of tournaments. Every Tuesday at the bar is usually like a fight night, so Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Rocket League, Smash Brothers. You see a lot of board gaming on Sunday because we're open from noon until 1 a.m. So you can sit down and you can play Axis and Allies if you wanted to. God forbid you take the 5 or 6 hours to do it.
But it's an option.
Absolutely, yeah. And then pinball, we have a pinball league that we do. We actually host 2 pinball leagues. There's one that's kind of a more casual league, and then there's one that's more serious competition. And Wednesdays are always free pinball, so it's a good time to come in and learn the game without spending $5 every time you come in. I still do every other night, but I save that money on Wednesday.
Note to self:
Yeah.
Wednesday pinball. Got it.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, and I apologize if you said. So where do you get your games from?
Mostly it is through private collectors that we buy from. I definitely prefer to own games. I think that one of the problems we found with especially pinball machines in other bars in Portland was, the bar owner will put the machine in from a leased company or whatever, and they won't take care of it. A flipper doesn't work, it just goes unnoticed. So we have our buddy Jake, who is actually representing Maine in the national finals for pinball.
Cool beans.
He comes in here once a week and cleans the machines. He probably spends 4 or 5 hours every Friday just like going through every machine, making sure the mechanics work. If a switch isn't working, why isn't it? Get in there, order parts. With the video game collection we have, it was first started by my brother, and he kind of had a basement arcade.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this would be really good for the bar. So we started with maybe 4 or 5 of his machines, and then we grew to where we now have 10 to 15 that the bar owns, and then a couple that he owns as well. And he services the machines as well. So it's nice to have that in your back pocket.
So it's neat because it's you guys, you're not just into video games, but you're actually passionate about the machines as well.
100%. It was very important for us that things be taken care of as well as they could be, which in an environment like a bar, there's going to be a spilled beer every once in a while.
Right.
And we've done our best to limit that. All the pinball machines have cup holders to, kind of signal people.
I noticed that on a couple. It's like, that's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah. I think the fact that we're not we're not just business owners, like that we're actually into gaming culture is very key, because I'm sure that there are other barcades. I know of other barcades, and some of them are more corporate, I guess I would say. There might be 4 or 5 of them all around, and you don't know the people who actually own the business. And it was important for us to have a face put to the business and say, this is just, this isn't some, people from New York coming in and starting a business in Maine. It's, somebody who grew up in Maine and, went to Massabesic and went to Berwick, and now, we own a business about things that we like.
Maine through and through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Homegrown Maine geek.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do you feel that you have found your niche here in Portland with this obviously awesome idea?
I think yes. I think, we didn't quite know when we opened what the turnout was going to be. Are we going to get, 2 people an hour that come to the bar? Are we going to get...
Pun intended, it was a roll of the dice.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we rolled an 18 or a 19 on this one.
Nice.
No, we're very happy with the people that come out, and it's fun that each night the bar has kind of a different feel based on what's going on. So, Sunday there's usually a game of D&D going on somewhere because they have the time and it's a little quieter. Wednesday nights obviously is a large pinball crowd because of the free pinball.
Right.
There are some nights we do tap takeovers with some of the local breweries around. We've done a few charity events with local breweries. Foundation and Maine Beer Company have both done some charity events here. So in the beer related field, one thing that I'm really excited about, and one thing that I'm very like, this is a nerd sect that is represented at the bar that most people don't think about when they think of nerds, but that is wrestling nerds. We love to watch WWE wrestling.
Actually, no, I don't think most people don't think of it as
prototypical nerd, like
right, but at the same time, if you've gone to any convention, there's usually at least a couple pro wrestlers. Like last year's Bangor Comic and Toy Con, we sat with Bushwhacker Lou, and helped him out at his table, and right next to him was Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, that's like, oh my god.
That was my childhood. It's like, oh. Yeah.
I got to sit with him all day long.
And it was awesome because he's sitting there showing us pictures. He's like, oh yeah, here's Paul and Hulk and Brooke Hogan in my pool when we were next door neighbors. I'm like, oh yeah, here's Burt Reynolds. He was my neighbor for a while too. I'm like, okay.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But I'm sorry, you were saying.
So we're doing a big event on WrestleMania night, and it's called Brewamania, where 7 breweries from Maine are brewing wrestling-themed beers. And it's a one night only. Like they brew a couple of kegs, and we go through them and
That's
that
incredible.
night. But like last year, Rising Tide did a beer that was Slim Jim flavored. It was good. I enjoyed it. There was Bandit Horn did one called Samoan Drop, which we brewed with Girl Scout cookies, the Samoa's Girl Scout cookies. And they're doing that one again, and I'm so excited for it. I got very drunk that night, and I do not apologize.
So actually, speaking of drinks, I noticed behind the bar you have gamer-themed cocktails.
Oh, yes.
How did you come up with those particular concoctions for?
What
you called them?
Some of them have been there since the beginning. Falcon Punch and Jiggly Punch have kind of been there since the start. And then drinks that will run maybe for a week or two, it's always like, okay, we just made something, like, what do we call it? So we did a coffee drink with Bard coffee, and we called it Beetle the Bard, because it makes sense. You've got Bard coffee, we love Harry Potter drinks, so let's throw that in there. We've had Polyjuice Potion before.
Do I want to know what people turn into?
No, you do not.
Okay, fair enough.
Nobody wants to know.
Yeah. We've got the Night of Flowers right now, which we're all excited because we have the Game of Thrones pinball machine, which is very new, so we've been doing a lot of Game of Thrones type things. Bandit Horn actually has a beer called The Mountain, so we're going to put that on next. It's, whatever we're kind of geeking out about at the moment, or sometimes it'll just be relevant to, like, for example, the Maine caucus was today, so we might have a Feel the Burn, whiskey shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your more popular cocktail that people seem to really enjoy?
I would say it's, the 2 punches. I think I see a lot of Jiggly Punches going out. It's kind of, it's light. It's light, it's floral, it's a champagne drink with some elderflower, and there's a couple of flavored vodkas in it as well. The Jiggly Punch goes with mango vodka, and this one goes with raspberry. And there might be a little tequila in there too. I'll tell you this, for $10, the punches pack a punch.
I imagine, especially someone with my weak alcohol tolerance, all I gotta do is take a whiff and I'm done. But anyway, so all right. Well, one final question for you, since you obviously are a geek. What is it that you geek out about most?
I would have to say that. So in the video game world, I would say my top games would have to. I was a very, very too much into World of Warcraft.
You excited for the new movie?
Yes, I am. I'm very excited. We're probably going to buy a bunch of tickets and just bring people from the bar to go see it. So World of Warcraft and Portal would be my 2. I'm a PC gamer, so sorry.
No apologies.
And then board game-wise, I really love Agricola. And Dominion was kind of my first European-style game that I played. And anytime somebody wants to play Dominion, please come play with me. Or if you want to learn Agricola or play it, please play with me. I want to play with you.
Come play with me.
Yeah, and then pinball-wise, really any machine, because they're all so different and have a lot of rule sets. And people come in for the first time think just hitting flippers is enough, but you really need to learn a lot of stuff to be good at pinball. So,
right
across the board, I love it all.
Nice. So this is, like I said, this is Dave, and we're at Arcadia National Bar.
Arcadia National Bar, yeah.
Yep, right on Preble Street in Portland. You're pretty much, spitting distance across from Congress Square, more
or
or
less. We're right there.
So let's not say spitting distance.
Spitting distance.
You don't have to spit, but you could a stone's throw now.
One super jump away from Congress Square. How's that?
There we
Is
go.
that better?
Yeah.
So if you're in Portland and you want to geek and drink, come see Dave over at Arcadia National Bar, and your website specifics and all that.
So the way you can find out what's going on our calendar, the best way to do that is Facebook. So just look up Arcadia National Bar on Facebook. We have a monthly schedule each month, so you can know well in advance what's going on, what tournaments are happening, or if we happen to be closed for a private event, that will also be on there. So before you come down, take a look, see what's going on, and let's have fun.
Cool. So you want to take us upstairs and actually show us around the bar?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Trying to get the Trump out. I was surprised.
It kept dropping the ball.
Yeah, you are. That was so sick. You are a straight fourth husband of the apocalypse. You are feminine horny.
He said go onto YouTube